Ever get that feeling like you want to like really grasp something, you know, to get to that deep understanding, but without like slogging through tons and tons of information?
Yeah.
You're like chasing those light bulb moments, right? Those connections that suddenly make everything click.
Those aha moments.
Yeah, exactly. So for you, the learner, what if there was a way to tap into a way of thinking and acting that has historically led to some pretty exceptional achievement in like any field?
Well, that's what's so fascinating about what we're going to be exploring today. You flagged Robert Greene's book, Mastery, right?
Yeah.
And, it's a pretty widely available book. I think it's published by Penguin Books, maybe?
Yeah.
But our aim here isn't to just give a book report.
Right. No.
We want to dive into the core principles that it lays out.
Exactly. So our mission in this deep dive is to cut straight to the heart of what it takes to achieve mastery.
Right.
We're going to pull out those essential ideas about developing incredible skill and insight. Think of this as like your shortcut to understanding the journey, the practical steps, the crucial mindset shifts involved.
Absolutely.
And we're going to begin at the very beginning, figuring out what truly resonates with you, that initial spark, what gets you going.
Yeah, that inner drive. The book really emphasizes this initial inward journey.
Yeah.
It talks about, an inner force, something fundamental that guides us towards our life's task, those accomplishments that truly align with who we are. It's about looking within and understanding those deepest inclinations.
And for you, who's always seeking knowledge and understanding that, could be like a real revelation.
It may.
Right? Recognizing this inner pull, this inherent leaning, could bring a surprising clarity to your path.
Yeah.
Almost like you're discovering a compass.
Absolutely.
Pointing you toward your most fulfilling work.
I think a great example of this that the book brings up is Leonardo da Vinci.
Oh, yeah.
From a very young age, this drive was unmistakable.
Wow.
His early drawings were extraordinary, and this led to his apprenticeship with Verrocchio. Now, Verrocchio's studio wasn't just about painting. It encompassed engineering, mechanics, chemistry, even metallurgy.
Wow.
But Leonardo didn't just absorb what was taught, He had this inherent need to innovate, to find his own way of doing things.
And that wasn't just like a passing phase for him, was it?
No.
The book goes into detail about how even with a massive project like the bronze horse statue, right?
Right.
Leonardo seemed more fascinated by the challenges of design and creation, the process itself,
Yes.
than by simply finishing the final piece.
Yeah, and I think Michelangelo even needled him about never actually completing it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
So what's really insightful here is how this hidden force showed up in every aspect of Leonardo's life. His fascination with untamed landscapes, his constant sketching of everything he saw, his relentless experimentation.
Right.
In Verrocchio's workshop, these weren't just random interests. They were expressions of this underlying compulsion. Think about some of his projects. Designing giant sculptures, his attempts to understand human fleet, even his detailed anatomical dissections,
Right.
which were controversial at the time.
Yeah.
It all stemmed from this profound need to understand the fundamental principles of life and nature.
So it wasn't about seeking praise or recognition for him.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
The book makes a really key distinction here. This voice guiding you is not some external command. It's something much more personal. It comes from your unique core, that essence of who you are.
Yeah.
And when your work connects with this inherent character, it becomes more than just a job. It transforms into a true calling.
I love that.
Something that's deeply intertwined with your identity.
It's less about chasing external validation or the most obvious path to success. It's more about finding that deep resonance within yourself.
Exactly.
Like, does this feel right to me? Does this feel good?
Yeah. And it's not always a straight trajectory.
Yeah.
The journey. The book emphasizes viewing your career as a path with unexpected turns. You might begin in a field that broadly aligns with your interests and use that initial position to gain experience and essential skills.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to land your dream job right away.
Right.
Think back to Leonardo. He took those foundational skills that he acquired while working for others and continuously adapted and refined them, ultimately making them his own. It's about that ongoing evolution and self-discovery within your chosen domain.
Okay, so you've got this internal compass pointing you in a general direction.
Right.
What comes next, that's where the apprenticeship phase takes center stage, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this isn't just about learning a specific trade. It's about a fundamental transformation of your mind and character.
Okay.
The book really underscores that the main objective isn't immediate gratification,
Right.
like a big paycheck or prestigious title,
Yeah.
but a deeper, more profound shift in how you perceive and interact with the world.
I see.
You move from that initial idealism to a more grounded understanding of reality
Okay.
through the deliberate acquisition of practical knowledge and skills.
So it's about prioritizing those opportunities to learn and grow, even if it means taking a less glamorous or lower paying role early on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The book really advocates for selecting work environments that offer the richest learning opportunities.
Right.
You want to be in a situation where you're challenged, where you're going to gain that hands-on experience.
Yeah.
Even if it means starting in what might seem like a less desirable position.
Right.
It's those early struggles and that real-world feedback
Yeah.
that are so valuable for your long-term development. You're not seeking comfort. You're seeking opportunities to become more resilient and more skilled.
And within this apprenticeship phase, a critical element is skills acquisition, right? That
Yeah.
dedicated period of practice where you really begin to refine your abilities.
Precisely. It's about breaking down complex tasks into smaller fundamental skills that can be practiced deliberately and repeatedly.
Mm.
Think about historical crafts. Apprentices often needed over 10,000 hours to truly master their craft.
Wow.
The book mentions the tacit knowledge embodied in Gothic cathedrals,
Right.
built without formal blueprints,
Amazing.
a testament to the accumulated expertise passed down through generations of hands-on practice.
That's a huge investment of time,
It is.
but it really highlights the importance of that deep, ingrained understanding that comes from consistent effort.
It does, and the book connects this to our innate learning process, which is rooted in observation, imitation, and repetition. It touches on this concept of mirror neurons, how our brains are wired to learn by watching others perform actions. This is a form of learning that predates language,
Wow.
deeply embedded in our biology.
Which makes perfect sense. I mean, we learn to walk and talk by observing and mimicking long before we ever understand the rules of grammar.
Exactly. And in our current environment, with increasing complexity and constant distraction, this apprenticeship phase becomes even more crucial. The book suggests there's a growing divide between those who actively cultivate their minds and acquire tangible skills, and those who are simply overwhelmed by the sheer volume of incoming information. Focused, deliberate practice is the antidote to that feeling of being overwhelmed.
It also brings up a point I found really thought-provoking, the way our culture sometimes undervalues working with our hands.
That's a great point.
Mhm.
And the book argues that our brains developed in close connection with our hands. Many of our earliest survival skills depended on intricate hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
Even today, a substantial portion of our brain is dedicated to this connection. So engaging in physical work, building things, taking things apart to understand how they function, these aren't just manual tasks.
Right.
They teach us how to sequence actions, organize our thoughts, develop critical problem-solving abilities that have much broader applications. The book really encourages finding ways to incorporate these hands-on activities into your life,
Yeah.
even if it's just as a hobby.
So it's not just about intellectual learning. There's a real and profound value in that physical interaction with the world around us.
Absolutely.
Now, the book also explores specific strategies for making the most of this apprenticeship phase, right?
Yes.
For creating what it calls an ideal apprenticeship.
Yes. And these strategies are really insightful because they reveal how individuals who achieve mastery often take a very active role in shaping their own learning journey.
Okay.
So the first one is what the book calls the self-directed apprenticeship. And the example of Zora Neale Hurston is really powerful.
Oh, yeah.
So despite facing significant obstacles and limitations, she didn't passively wait for opportunities.
Right.
She actively sought out education, read voraciously beyond your formal requirements, and cultivated an insatiable curiosity.
Wow.
The core insight here is, don't wait for opportunities, actively create them.
Yeah.
Hurston's story shows the power of relentless self-education, even when facing significant obstacles.
That really resonates with the spirit of someone who's always eager to learn and grow. Actively seeking out knowledge rather than just waiting for it to be presented.
Exactly. The next strategy is what the book calls occupy the perfect niche, sometimes referred to as the Darwinian strategy. And the story of V.S. Ramachandran's childhood fascination with seashells in Madras is a great illustration of this.
Right.
So he discovered this very specific area of interest
Yeah.
where he could become an expert, like the foremost expert.
Right.
The book draws this parallel to how unique variations in nature can lead to new ecological niches,
Right.
suggesting that sometimes our own seemingly unusual interests
Yeah.
can lead us to unique areas of mastery.
It's about finding that specific corner of the world where your unique interests and talents can really thrive.
Exactly. Then there's return to your origins. And
Mm.
this is exemplified by Yoki Matsuoka's journey. So she had a really diverse set of interests: physics, math, biology, tennis mechanics, and ultimately found a way to bring all of them together in her work, designing robotic hands.
That's amazing.
It's about recognizing those seemingly disparate passions
Hmm.
and finding a path that integrates them into a cohesive whole.
It's like all those different threads in your life eventually weaving together to create a really strong fabric.
Precisely. The fourth strategy the book talks about is feel your way forward.
Yeah.
And the example of Wolfgang Mozart is quite telling here.
Yeah.
So despite his father's expectations and his initial position as a court organist in Salzburg, Mozart experienced a deep sense of dissatisfaction.
Okay.
He realized that his true passion wasn't just performing, but composing operas.
Right.
So it was a difficult but ultimately necessary step for him to break away from that and pursue his authentic calling.
That really highlights the courage it can take to deviate from a seemingly secure and predefined path when it doesn't align with that internal compass.
Absolutely. The fifth strategy is the power of negative thinking.
Okay.
And Buckminster Fuller's early business failures are a compelling example of this. So instead of being defeated by these setbacks, he learned valuable lessons from them
Yeah.
and made a conscious decision to trust his own peculiar ideas,
Yeah.
which eventually led to revolutionary inventions
Yeah.
like the Dymaxion car and the
Yeah.
geodesic dome. It underscores the importance of paying attention to that inner voice,
Mhm.
even when it goes against external pressures,
Right.
and viewing that frustration as a potential indicator that you're not on the right track.
So those apparent failures weren't dead ends for him. They were like crucial feedback loops guiding him toward his true purpose.
Exactly. And finally, there's love what you learn,
Right.
which is beautifully illustrated by Charles Darwin's early experiences.
Yeah.
So he struggled in traditional academic subjects, but was deeply passionate about the natural world, spending his time outdoors collecting specimens and making these meticulous observations.
Yeah.
Despite his father's initial disapproval,
Okay.
this inherent love for learning about nature fueled his extraordinary transformation during the voyage of the Beagle.
Mm.
His excitement at discovering fossils in South America, for instance, sparked profound questions that ultimately led to his groundbreaking theories.
It all circles back to that fundamental curiosity and the impact of genuine interest in driving deep learning and discovery.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
These strategies, while varied, all highlight the active role that someone on the path to mastery takes in shaping their own apprenticeship,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's proactively overcoming limitations, identifying unique areas of focus, integrating diverse passions, listening to that inner voice, learning from setbacks, or simply cultivating a deep and abiding love for the process of learning itself.
So to quickly summarize, we've looked at that crucial initial step of uncovering your calling, that internal drive. Then we explored the transformative apprenticeship phase with its emphasis on acquiring skills and cultivating the right mindset. And finally, we examined these really proactive strategies that individuals on the path to mastery often employ to navigate their learning journey effectively. It really underscores the importance of intention, self-awareness, and a deep commitment to the process.
Precisely. And these principles, as the book argues, transcend specific fields or historical periods.
Yeah.
They tap into something fundamental about human nature
Right.
and how we develop expertise. Understanding these dynamics can empower you, the learner, to approach your own learning and career with greater purpose and effectiveness, ultimately leading to those aha moments that you're always seeking.
So as you take all of this in, consider that inner force that we talked about right at the beginning. What seemingly small childhood fascination or persistent curiosity might actually hold the key to unlocking your own unique path to mastery. What's that quiet voice within you trying to tell you about where you should be focusing your energy?
I'm thinking about this. We've seen how many individuals who achieved mastery faced initial challenges and even what might have seemed like outright failures. What experiences in your own journey might you currently view as negative that could actually be invaluable lessons in disguise, just waiting to be recognized and applied to your own pursuit of mastery?
Amazing stuff. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
And we'll see all of you learners next time on The Deep Dive.
See you then.